first, right? Yes.
Yeah, I got it. Oh, hey. Hello and welcome to How Do Artists, a show that focuses on a single topic of conversation and asks the question, how do artists live, work, play, run their businesses, and stay inspired or handle challenges and adversity from an artist's perspective? Our show will speak with a diverse group of artists and creatives, and you as our listeners will have a chance to ask your questions during our Q&A segment towards the end of our show. I am your co-host, Ryan Caldwell. And I am joined by my co-host, Karlana Pedersen, artist and illustrator.
Hi. Well, all right. Well,
what are we talking about today?
Today's topic is how do artists screw up? We're going to take a lighthearted look at some of our screw-ups, gaffes, flubs, mistakes, bombs, and errors on the field as it relates to our careers as both upcoming and professional artists. How are you doing, Ryan?
Oh, I am. It's another day in paradise.
Another day in paradise.
I mean, if paradise was covered in 2 feet of snow at all times, when all the roads are white with caked on salt, and my freshly washed car is also white with caked on salt.
You don't like the snow outside? I think it's beautiful.
Oh no, the snow outside is absolutely it is beautiful. However, it's also very cold.
It is cold. And I think it's more snow than what I think we might be used to in Chicago. Although this is...
Yeah, I haven't had something like this since I was a kid.
Yeah, I want to say that when the year we moved to Minnesota in 2013, it snowed really bad. But it was like a big dump. It was all at once kind of thing. And Minnesota, of course, is known for this kind of snow. So I would expect this to kind of be more sub-zero weather in Minnesota.
So actually that's what was it? There was a, speaking of, because we're airing funny stories, we're trudging up the vaults of interesting and hilarious things that have happened. One of the ones that I fell victim to on such a night as tonight was I was still living at my parents' place, and they had they had stairs that went up to their back their back kind of porch area, and it was it's easily a big flight of stairs up to the second floor of the building, right?
Yeah.
And so basically what had happened is I'd recently gotten these kind of 3 tiny synthesizers. They're super cool. They're about the, size like a pencil box,
Okay.
And I had just gotten these things in a trade, and I was about to go over to a friend of mine's house to go and hang out, and it was really slippery. There was black ice around, and I was holding all these things just in my arms, I want to show these off. And then I went and I slipped and fell down all of the stairs.
Oh my gosh.
And then just slid across the pavement at the bottom a little bit. And and when I slipped and fell, all of my synthesizers went up into the air slow motion.
Oh no. And you broke all of them.
No, they were all absolutely fine because they're Korg Volcas, and they're built like tanks, which is fantastic.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's dangerous. I've slipped many times. I don't know if I've actually... Well, I've hurt myself pretty bad, but I haven't broken any equipment.
Yeah. I don't think I've slipped on anything and actually physically broken something. But the moral of the story is be careful around black ice. And that's the best part about all these stories, is they all taught us something.
or maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, I think some of my stories are just
Have you ever seen Burn After Reading?
But wait, say that again?
Have you ever seen Burn After Reading?
Burn After Reading?
It's a Coen Brothers film.
No.
So
I do like Coen Brothers.
Well, I almost don't want to spoil it, but at the very end of the film, there's this scene
don't spoil it.
Okay, well, it's not really. Well, okay, you know what? I'll keep that. Okay.
You're gonna give us a spoiler.
Bad tangent. It's been out for a little bit, but I recommend getting that. Well, okay. So do you have any good stories of failures or blunders?
Oh my gosh, which category? Which category would you like tonight?
Oh, I want to hear a funny or weird story.
Ooh, okay. All right. Oh, okay. I'm not going to go with my heavy hitter just yet. Let's start it. Let's just start a little bit on the light side. Okay. I years ago, when I was younger, I started doing commercials and getting sort of into the business when I was about 12, 13 years old. So I was doing commercials and started modeling and stuff, and eventually helped pay for school for college. But when I was a little bit older, I got a job working on the set as an extra for a movie that was shot in Chicago in the 80s. And you guys can probably look this up. The movie's called Code of Silence with Chuck Norris. So yeah, and
actually.
Have you? Yeah, it's my kids have saw it and they're like, oh, "Is that you? Is that you?" So I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the lone extra on the L scene," but
nice,
right? But I had made friends, and I won't mention any names. I had made friends with some of the production crew, and so I would hang out with. I'd hang out with some of the people that were close to Chuck Norris. Like they were like his assistant and his yeah. And it was totally, I think, oh my gosh, maybe 16 or 17 or something. And it was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And he was on the set sitting down and he had gotten up. You know how they have those director's chairs? And I was like milling around the set. I had not had a scene. So I was sort of out of the fray in front of the camera for a while. So I was behind like the set where like, Chuck Norris was sitting behind the set, on the chair. Yeah. So I was talking to this other guy who was like one of the production assistants and one of the other assistants for Chuck Norris. And we were kind of talking, and I didn't realize that Chuck Norris was headed for me in my direction because I was talking to his two main people and my back was turned to him. So I heard my name being called over like some loudspeaker. I freaked out and I whipped around and I started to run. So I whipped around and I ran into like Chuck Norris and like stomped on his toe.
How was it? How was stomping on Chuck Norris's toe?
Embarrassing.
It was embarrassing. But no, like the actual toe. How'd the toe feel?
His toe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, was it squishy? Was it hard? Was he wearing were they nice cowboy boots? Or because I'm assuming he was wearing cowboy boots. Or were they loafers?
No, he wasn't.
I bet he was wearing loafers.
He was a detective in this movie. He was playing a detective. So he was dressed like he was actually dressed like an undercover cop in Chicago. And the whole movie's so he had whatever, they wore back at
right.
And I stomped on his toe and I was so embarrassed. And he was totally nice. But yeah, I had a habit of doing that. I had a habit of like moving before I was looking in the direction I should be looking in. So that's that's my mild funny story.
Also,
they get worse from there.
Wait, okay, so that's your mild one?
Oh, that's the mild one.
Yeah. Oh man, so because like I've have some like that. Man, I feel like the well you're drawing from is going to be way deeper than mine.
I think maybe I should stop now.
Oh no, this is good. Like I have some good ones, but like. So like one of mine is from, I think it was a grade school choir concert.
Oh.
And they were shuffling around people on the risers trying to get everyone there. And it was during the actual concert. Like, everything was going on. And it was a Harry Potter, like Harry Potter had just come out, which is in the future. That's going to date this podcast real hard. And but the, it's like, what? Yeah, that's when Pokemon was new.
Oh my gosh.
But the, But yeah, so basically they were shuffling us all along this, and they brought like another class on there, and just because of basically they were trying to shove more things on than we'd prepared, I got pushed off this riser in the middle of the concert.
Oh
Like
no.
off the back of the riser.
Oh no. And did everybody hear that thump?
Oh yeah.
That happened.
Oh, yeah. And it wasn't even during a song. Like it was between songs, and it was like silence.
You can hear your body rolling down off the side of the stage, right?
Oh man.
My God.
I think my mother still has video of that somewhere.
That's funny.
Oof.
That's funny. Okay, so if we're talking about falling off of things.
So you have gravity stories.
Oh yeah, I've got a couple. I'm looking at my list. All right. So if we're talking about falling off, I mentioned to you before was a fit model. And I should say this was years ago when I was like 17 years old or 18 years old. And I'm not talking about fitness. I was not a fitness model. I used to do illustrations for designers because I knew designers because I went to school with them. And I was in college. So I was able to sort of, you have to know someone who knows someone kind of thing.
Right.
And I was recommended to do this job for another designer, and I won't mention names, a wonderful designer, loved working for them. And they sold to Marshall Fields. Mm. So I would go in and I would get fitted for their designs, and then I would be a fit model on their runway shows for their buyers. So there was a whole bunch of designers that would twice a year or something would have these private fashion shows in Marshall Fields here in Chicago. And this was years ago, obviously, because there's no more Marshall Fields downtown on State Street. But if you went upstairs to their beyond their public space, which was I think past, they had the restaurant on the second floor. And then if you take another bank of elevators, then there would be another 5 or 6 floors. And those were private. They had this one room that was this huge room with this fashion show stage. And it was a huge room with a fashion show stage. And this is where the buyers presented their seasonal outfits, and they hired professional models or fit models to come and do this presentation. So hard to get this job. And it was a great job to keep. So I was working for this designer, and beautiful clothes, but the shoes that they wanted to give me, they didn't have my size.
Oh no.
And I remember saying, oh my gosh, please let's try to fix these because I want to make sure that, everything is good. We did our best, but I got out there, I did the catwalk, and then right in front of the buyers, I remember I went to pivot at the end of the runway. Oh, and I pivoted and I spun myself off the side of I spun myself off the corner of
the runway.
The catwalk.
Oh no.
And fell into the buyers. Oh my God.
Did they catch you?
By default.
With their faces. Nice. With their big smiles. No, with their subtle artsy pouts. Yeah.
With their pad and pens writing down, whatever crap that was. But oh my gosh.
At least you didn't get a pen in the eye.
Oh my gosh. I had to figure out how to get back on the stage and finish.
Because of course, it was probably how tall was this stage? At least an 8-footer, right?
Oh yeah, no, it was a high stage.
Oof.
It wasn't 8 feet. I want to say maybe it was higher than you would expect in that situation, because you would walk into this big room and you wouldn't expect to see a catwalk there. And it was a T-shaped catwalk. So it was, straight. And in the back, you had the T, because one girl would come off, one girl would go off, and then you'd go down the front. So I fell off the front. So yeah.
Oof.
So it wasn't even in the back where I could have like
hit or something like that.
hid
Yeah.
or picked myself up and hid
Nope.
and
It
ran.
was
It was right
completely spotlight moment. Oh yeah.
yeah, right there in the lap. All I could do was laugh because back then you didn't have Instagram showing all the other models that fall down.
Right.
Models fall down all the time. But back then,
well, yeah, I mean, their blood sugar's so low, like they just lose consciousness sometimes.
they're so tall. It's like there's not enough oxygen. But yeah, so yeah, you always think it's just you that that huge mistake is the only time they've ever seen. Probably that year was the only time that a model landed in their lap, but I know that they've seen other models
and stuff like that happens all the time. Like so there was this giant choir concert at the school I went to, and it was like it was a thing they would brief everyone about because it had all the choir students in the school, and the school was made up of at least half choral students, right? Well, not like the School of Music basically. So it's like there was vocalists and instrumentalists were like a 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like just like there was so many kids. There's like at least I think five total choirs doing this at the same time. And so there's just law of averages says that someone's going to faint. Someone is going to faint, and it's not a matter of when or if. No, yeah, it's not a matter of if, but when. Yeah. And so they would give us a briefing saying, if you lose consciousness, stay down.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because it's a choir thing. That you stay down in the people. And also, if your neighbor passes out, keep them down. Because the thing that happens is they go down, they're like, oh, what happened? And they stand up and then they go right back down. Yeah.
Oh, so there's like kids like on top of each other.
Oh, also I want to give a quick shout out to Ricardo, my voice teacher, my old voice teacher, and Dylan Schweitzer and Bill.
Oh, hi guys.
Yeah.
Yay. And I see that Ricky says, how did Chuck Norris's toe feel?
Oh yeah.
He was very gracious about it. I think I turned 10 shades of red and just was like, oh my gosh, so embarrassing. Plus I was a young punk kid, so.
Wait, were you a punk? Did you have a mohawk?
Oh, that's a whole other story. No, I didn't, but I have a story about what happened to my hair. Yeah.
What happened?
There's this girl.
What happened to your hair?
There's this girl that put Gorilla Glue in her hair, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's funny because I heard about that and I immediately thought about this time in high school where I was doing an art project with Gorilla Glue, and I had hair like about actually probably a little longer than this, and I got a little bit in there.
You couldn't get it out.
No, I could though.
What? It was Gorilla Glue?
I had a greasy scalp back then. It slides right out. It's great.
Oh my gosh, Ryan, that could not have been Gorilla Glue.
It was absolutely Gorilla Glue.
Oh my gosh. And I felt really bad for this girl, and I'll tell you why, because I have had my own hair mishap. But I remember back in the day when you talk about punk, I remember I had friends who literally were punk kids because we were art students. I went to school with all different types of kids, and it was just awesome. And there were kids that came with mohawks. They had literally the shot, and their mohawks. The thing back then was how high could you get your mohawk to stand without it wilting, right? So they would put Jello in their hair, like gelatin. They'd heat it up and put gelatin in their hair. They would put anything that they could get in hair. And I remember thinking when I heard this girl put Gorilla Glue in her hair, I thought, oh yeah, I remember. If we had Gorilla Glue back then, I know somebody would have probably
done it
in her hair, but she had, it wasn't sticking up or like used where you could just pull it out. It was plastered to her hair, poor thing. So I like totally felt bad for her because I feel like had that been like a different place in time, maybe I would have really known kids who had done that. But my own hair mishap happened when I was again, doing shows, I did a hair show. I was a hair model for the Midwest Beauty Show.
Yeah.
Would come in every year, and it's all of the hairstyling, barber, and salon products and franchises and companies, and they all get together once a year for this huge show. And it was I'm trying to remember where it was. I want to say it was at McCormick Place, and then they've moved it a couple of times. But we did this huge show, and I worked for this one company, wonderful company. I won't say their name, but I worked for them every year. And I won't say their name because it was this one year that I worked for them that things did not go so well. When I cut my hair really short, it turns into a crew cut. So at the time, my hair was like longer than it is now. Like it was like down to here, way past my shoulders, thick, black and curly. And they decided, hey, you know what's in now? This is before any other. I was the first. I'm claiming the first on this. They wanted to dye my hair blonde because you had not. In fact, I have pictures of it, but you have not seen African-American girls at this time. This was a long time ago. Now you see it all the time. Blonde hair, but it wasn't. They weren't going to dye it a honey colored. This was going to be platinum, like Billy Idol blonde kind of color.
Right.
And they were going to spike it and do the whole like punk kind of like style with it. Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. This show, I didn't care what they did with my hair because this one show, I could literally pay for my rent and all my expenses for like 2 months just from this one show. Nice. So I said, every year I'm in. Do what you want. That's cool. So I guess because of that, I was always called back because I didn't care what they did to my hair. So one time I sat in their salon and the show was going to be Friday. This was, I want to say, Monday. And it was a week, Monday, the week before the show. And that's when they they do whatever they want to your hair. And hopefully you have like a week and a half, 2 weeks time before the show so that it can settle down. So I'm in the salon chair and they're doing the chemical. They cut my hair. It's all spiky and crew cutty and everything. And they are getting ready to dye it. And the guy is panicking. He is the colorist is calling for people. And I'm like, that's never a good sign. I'm thinking to myself, oh, snap. What the heck is going on? He's running back and forth. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. And I'm like, what the frick? And I can't get the hood off because it's a hood and it's tied. But he knows something's wrong. And it turned out that they lifted my hair too high and it melted. So
your hair melted?
Hair melted off. My whole hair. When you took the cap off, and when he started to take the cap off in the back, he touched my hair, and it like hair when it starts to solidify, it's like a rubber band, and then it just starts to disintegrate. So he would touch my hair and my hair was disintegrating in his hand and he flipped out because he thought I was just going to have an absolute cow. So he took it off and he had like 4 or 5 people standing with him as backup or something. I don't know. He thought I was just probably going to just like trip. And I just looked at him and I'm like, oh, snap. Yeah, just shave it off. Right. And so he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, just shave it. So he shaved the whole thing off. And put a shine on my head. I went out in full face makeup and I rocked a bald head for 2 weeks until it grew back. And the day before the show, I had maybe this much hair that they could recolor. But they colored it. It worked. I went on the show and I was like the company. I'm not going to say the name. I was like the company girl. Like they called me for everything after that.
They better. Oh,
but yeah,
man.
that was. I actually look good in a bald head. I was like, you know
not
what?
everyone does. I don't think I would.
I've got a really like round head. So
that's good.
And but every day you had to be like full face makeup because I had to be walking around in leather and fierce because I'm bald now. So
you got to be fierce if you're bald.
You gotta pull it off, right?
Oh yeah. No, and absolutely. Well, and that's also one of the reasons why, most people who are balding, a bunch of them will go all the way because it's more of a power move,
Yeah.
It shows confidence.
But for girls to be bald, I mean,
also shows a lot of confidence.
I had no choice. That's what I wasn't going to walk around with like a patch here and a patch here. That was like worse to me. Especially it being blonde because it's like, well, where the hell did the rest of your hair go? And why is it blonde? And I'm like, just get rid of it. So, yeah. Oof. So I always feel sympathy for those who have hair mishaps.
Yeah, actually, I'm not sure.
Have you ever had a hair mishap?
I don't think I've ever had a bad hair mishap.
No one's cut your hair
never
incorrectly. Oh my God.
No one's ever cut my hair. No.
Wait, what?
No, I have had haircuts.
And no one's cut it bad. You've never walked out of a salon and been like, dang it, I told them a quarter inch. And
the worst one I had was I was going on a backpacking trip when I was way younger, and my dad had basically chased me down, got me into the car, and got me to get a massive haircut because I'd already started trying to grow my hair out. So he basically got it back down to like chin length. But it was and I was like, I don't wanna. And yeah.
Wait, how old were you?
Oh, I was like an 8th grader. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's actually what as I was going and probing the archives for some of these stories, I realized that, man, as an adult, I haven't screwed up too bad. Nice. That's a very good feeling.
That's awesome, Ryan. I really had to go back into my head and access the archives in my brain because I had successfully
blocked out most of it.
Blocked all this out. And thanks to you, now it's all
chasing you
alive.
out at night. Yeah. You're going and you're remembering it as you're staring into the void at like 3 a.m.
That's right. It's come back to haunt me again.
Oh, okay. So so one of mine, speaking of like work experience, this was when I had started my new job, and at this like kind of corporate conference center. Right. It was right. And I was doing audio engineering for them. At least that's what I was trying to get hired for. Yeah, no, it's but it's like it was a corporate conference center all for like these big corporate trainings and stuff like that. So like a whole Fortune 500 company's middle upper tier management would come in there and do like a workshop for a week. And so then, they'd go and like, especially there was a big one, and man, no names, not using any names, no context. But one of these companies was really, really huge, and they would take up the entire facility for, I think, about a month. And so during that time, it was all hands on deck for any freelancer they could drag in there. And so those are most of the gigs I ended up getting. And spoiler alert that I ended up getting this job. So the interview process went well. But so I had gone in there. It was a pretty early interview, and I had gotten led over to where one of the kind of the older guys he was like the head of their audio engineering department. Yeah. Not necessarily the one who's calling not the one who's calling the shots, but the one who's accountable for like all the gear, making sure everything worked. If something needed troubleshooting, he was the guy. Right. And so he was basically saying, yeah, help me go and set this stuff up. He was just setting up one of the conference rooms for something. And so I was working with some of the AV equipment, and I had gone there and like straight up formal attire. I was like, I'm going to get this job. Yeah, this interview's in the bag. And anyhow, it only took one lunge to prove me wrong because my pants ripped straight down the inseam.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wait, while you were working?
Yeah, basically like I just got down low and then So anyhow, what I ended up doing was the guy left for a second, and then I was like, okay. And I went to one of the storage closets that they had the gaff tape. And I ended up taking this roll of gaff tape into the bathroom with me and trying to repair my black pants with black gaff tape.
Did it work? Not so much.
I mean, in the academic sense, it functioned as to not call attention to my crush. So anyhow, that was at the beginning of this whole interview process. And they also walked me all over this facility. And then we did lunch and the whole thing. So anyhow, if they noticed that I had my ripped pants, they said nothing.
And your Hanes boxers and briefs are like hanging out in the wind kind of thing.
Oh, exactly. Like, but luckily the gaff tape did a good enough job of kind of sealing it. So unless someone was, directly looking at my pants, which, I don't think people do, but I don't really pay attention. Yeah. So that was exciting, but I did make it out unscathed and I did get the job. So
and you did get the job. So that's
the funniest part is that years later, I actually ripped my pants on the job there a second time.
The same company?
Same company.
The same place?
Same place.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, that one was 2019, I think. And yeah, it was one of those things. Of course, that time it happened, and now I actually knew the person who was my supervisor for that, and I was like, I totally ripped my pants when I was grabbing. It was like at the very, very end of the day, at the very, very end of the week.
And by this time, you had an extra pair in your car, right?
Oh, no. No, I don't learn things. That's weird. But yeah, no, I had an extra. No, I did not have an extra pair. But luckily, it was so close to the end of strike that she was like, "No, just go. It's fine."
Oh, no, that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I did. You ripped your pants, but I did have an on the job accident. I was I won't name what club I used to work at, but I think anyone who knows me knows exactly who and what I'm talking about. I was a performance artist for this club years ago, and we were in. They hired actors and models to do certain shows, visual art things in the club. This was years and years ago, and you went into a box the size of a room. So there was this box that we went in that was probably half the size of this room. And it was a clear plexiglass box with a stage on the inside. And
interesting.
I worked in the art department during the day. After school, I'd come in the art department, work during the day, and we'd help build these sets. And then at night, I would work a couple of days a week doing performance art. Well, there was this one out of all the cases that we had, there was only one with a glass door. Everything else was open. So instead of there being a door, there was just, nothing. Open. Yeah, there's nothing. You just, get down and walk out or climb in, and that's it. Except one case had a door. And I remember I was all dressed up and getting ready to start my set. And again, remember, I had this problem of moving before I actually my head was in the direction that I was moving into.
Oh, no.
So I began to jump into the case because he had to get up into the case because it was on a stage inside. So it was like maybe 2 feet off the ground. So I jumped in before looking and slammed my face into the glass plate door.
Ooh.
And I cracked my tooth and bled over my entire, my costume that I was wearing. That was like collateral damage. That was like, I had to go home. I remember I was terrified that it was going to chip off, and I had already bled on my costume, so I couldn't really wear it.
Was it like a white costume or something like that, or?
Well, it was a costume that showed blood. I mean, I don't remember what color it was, but they
That's
were
fair. kind
of put off by the fact that I had blood on it. So
not one of those sort of parties.
I didn't. No, not at all. But yeah, so that was like, oh my gosh, I remember that because I still have all these years. Thank you, Lord, that it has not chipped. But if I look at my tooth, I can still see it from when I was like 19 years old.
That's nuts.
The chip is still there.
Okay. So I do have one that's way more like that has a similar prop, let's call it. So this was at a house party in DeKalb of all places.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a house party in DeKalb, and I was playing with my old band Fight with Monsters. And this was overall it was an interesting gig because we were playing pretty early in the night.
Yeah.
And so we'd gotten there, and it was a reasonably sized house, but we were playing in a fairly small room of theirs. And they had actually snaked extension cords through the windows upstairs just so everything didn't have to be plugged into the same circuit.
Oh.
Right. Like it was that sort of setup. This was not an incredibly official house venue, but it was a functional house venue. And it was interesting because it was all the DeKalb townies. Like, so they're all like half of them at least were NIU students, but it was all the ones who just didn't want to go back home during the summer or live there year round. Like we're just, from there. So that was kind of another weird aspect of it. But anyhow, so we finally get to go on, and it is hot. It is hot as heck. It is like the middle, like, no, this is end of the summer. This is just end of the summer, Illinois heat wave. And they didn't have air conditioning.
And this is a random house party?
Oh yeah. So like everyone, including myself, like I'm a sweater. When I get warm, I perspire greatly. I'm not the worst I've seen, but it's definitely I do get rather moist. Okay. So anyhow, I have my guitar. At this point, I'm playing an Epiphone SG. So it's got the two devil horns on it, right?
Oh.
Yeah, it's bright red. Love that guitar so much. Still a little sad I traded that. But anyhow, so we were all set up and we were going about our set. And there was actually a really good crowd there. And the headlining band was also there, and they were front row because they were all jazzed about it. Oh, and yeah, no, it was really, really fun. Anyhow, in the I think 2 or 3 songs in, I dropped my guitar pick, and I was like, oh, typical, drop. So I went and picked it up, and I bumped my head on my guitar, and I'm like, okay, well, moving on. That's gonna be a bruise because it's like what you're talking about, moving before you go and you see the thing. So I bumped my head on the guitar, thought nothing of it, kept playing, and then people were getting really into it, and they were just transfixed. They were like, and I was the vocalist for this, or one of the vocalists for this group, and so I was singing a lot of these songs, and I thought I was just doing a really, really good job. But it happened to be that the entire time I had been bleeding from that wound. Like I had split my eyebrow open, and
no.
I have a little Y in my eyebrow from this particular evening, and I didn't notice that I was bleeding because I was sweating like a pig. I was already covered in fluids, and it hadn't the blood hadn't just blood in your eye and salt in your eye doesn't feel too different. So anyhow, was it the lead?
You thought it was sweat and it was blood.
Easily, yeah. And so then the lead singer of the headlining band came, and he basically saw this and was like, I gotta do something. And then he grabbed like a bunch of paper towel and started blotting my face, blotting my eye while I was playing.
Oh my gosh.
Anyhow, after I got off stage, my lifeguard training kicked in, and I went and sanitized it, gauze. I had a first aid kit in my big bag. No, yeah, I cauterized it with a cigarette. Just no. I had to go to 2 different drugstores because CVS was closed or Walgreens was closed or something to get some butterfly bandages, which apparently didn't do well enough.
No, not for that.
Anyhow,
stitches.
I didn't realize. Well, yeah, and I didn't get stitches for that, but it. But scars are cool, right?
Scars are cool.
At least it's like a subtle scar.
Yeah, okay.
Could be worse. And hey, kids these days are shaving they're shaving lines in their eyebrows anyhow. So
that's true. That's true. Well, I've got something similar, but it's
tag.
Tag. Okay, tag. Right. It's another point of no return story.
Point of no return.
Wait, yeah, definite consequence.
Did you get blood on a garment and couldn't return it?
Yeah, that was the time I walked into the plate glass window.
That was the point of no return?
Yeah, that was that. Well, there's quite a few actually.
Lots of stories involving blood.
Well, about unintended consequence, right?
All right.
So
okay.
I was along the same lines as a performance artist. I was also a performance waitress at this other place that I used to work at, and we used to do what we called were showtimes. Right now, this was like in the 90s, so we were like the first, at least in Illinois. I don't know if anybody else in the country was doing it, but at least in Illinois, we were the first to do showtimes where all the wait staff and the bartenders jump up on the bar and do showtimes, choreographed showtimes, right?
Right.
So I was about to do a showtime, and everybody has to jump up on the bar, and we get a lead in. So usually we'll get we know what songs are a showtime.
Yeah.
And one of them was YMCA. Okay, so that was our showtime. Now you know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, of course.
Now everybody knows the YMCA. The guy that worked for our company was the guy that did that little dance for YMCA. I know the DJ who choreographed that, along with a few others that now you'll see other people doing. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, as I was going up to get on the bar, we were kind of goofing around, and we shouldn't have been. And I got knocked in the jaw with an elbow and dislocated my jaw.
Oh, and then I had to sing the YMCA.
And well, then I ended up having to go to ER because my jaw, in fact, it still cracks. So you can hear it.
Ooh.
Did you hear that? Yeah, that's my dislocated jaw.
Do it closer to the microphone for the podcast.
Why, you couldn't hear that?
Not too much. Not too much.
That bone cracking? You really?
I was talking.
Want to hear the bone cracking?
Okay, of course, we gotta do it for the podcast.
Okay, you gotta listen then. Okay.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, did you hear it? I can't hear it because I.
Oh no, I could. Yep, loud and clear. That was gross.
Don't edit that out. So.
Oh no, I'm gonna sample that.
So I couldn't close my mouth. He hit me in the jaw. It was an accident. Yeah. So hard, and it hit me right here that my jaw hinged open. Ooh. And I couldn't close my mouth. I had to go to the ER with my mouth open and the bone sticking out. And the ER doctor had to put my face in some sort of contraption and pop it back in.
Oh.
Yeah, it was painful and unfortunate. But we were kind of goofing off.
And you learned never to goof off again.
Well, no. That's not what I learned because I still goofed off. What fun is that? Come on. Oh, no, okay. I learned not to get too close to people's elbows.
That's a fantastic, yeah. No, elbows are awful. Oh, yeah, they are pointy. They are pointy and painful. Well, okay, so I got one last good one. I mean, I have other ones like, a crazy stomp routine thing I was doing in grade school where the whole rig fell over, or a middle school talent show where we didn't actually know how to play our instruments. But I think one of the ones that and the other one was actually if anyone wants a special treat, you can look up high fives lead to low times on YouTube.
What is that?
Pretty sure that it's a video of me running around, me acting the fool. in a marching band performance during a scatter drill, which anyone who knows marching band stuff knows that scatter drills are, it's kind of like cheating. It's like, if you don't want to march into formation to the next thing, you call a scatter drill and everyone just gets there. Run around a circle and then go there.
Oh, that's funny.
But anyhow, so we were doing that, but I was in the front ensemble with the xylophones and stuff like that as a percussionist. And I decided, I'm just going to run all the way around, all like the whole front ensemble, high-fiving everyone, and it's going to be funny. And I did that, and it worked really, really well until it was a little bit muddy. Well, it was a little bit muddy out, and I just basically slid, like planted a heel and slid on the mud when I was kind of running back around to get back into place.
Oh.
And the worst part was that, our uniforms were like gold, red, and white, and the pants were white. Oh, just bright white. Anyhow, so if you go to the video, you can actually hear the sound of the audience go, "Oh!"
Really?
Right,
okay, I gotta go.
Oh, you gotta treat yourself. But that wasn't. That was the main. The actual story was there was this guy who I was playing in a band with for a little bit, and he was a real good guitar player, real flashy sort of guitar player, like modeled a lot of his stuff very Clapton-y, like very blues guitar,
sure,
classic rock guy. But he was we were playing at this venue, and it was a Sunday gig, which is already weird, and it was like a Sunday charity gig. And because of the charity, one of the donors for it paid for the band's drinks. There was like a couple bands that were going to be on that afternoon. It was an afternoon gig. And so, everyone was day drinking and it was fine. But the lead guy, the guitar player from the band, was drinking
too much.
A little bit more than a little bit. Actually, maybe a few drinks more than a little bit. Anyhow, so we were going through the set, and I think we were playing some Doors stuff, and I was jamming over there on the Wurlitzer, and
on the Wurlitzer.
Oh, on the Wurlitzer. Well, it was a Korg, but it was a Wurlitzer patch.
Okay, it's a Korg.
I'm a Wurlitzer fan. It's like the Telecaster. It's the Telecaster of pianos. But basically, so we were playing the song, and he was ripping into the solo, and the guy liked his solos, and it was his band, and he did most of the solos. It was a 4-piece, so the only other person who really could do solos was me, and he wasn't given any ground. So anyhow, he was in this solo, and he was getting really into it, and he was banging his head, and he lost balance, and basically stumbled across the stage, like diagonally off the stage, and kept running over to the bar. Guitar just getting completely unplugged right then and there. Anyhow, so all of us on stage were just and I was like, okay, I guess I'm taking a solo now.
Oh my gosh, he's at the bar drinking.
Well, I think he was at the bar trying to figure out what happened. It's like, how did I get here?
Can I have a gin and tonic?
Gosh.
Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of drinks, I was at the same workplace.
You're at the same bar? Oh,
at the same. I was working at the same place where I was a performing waitress, right?
Yeah.
And super packed. It's a short story. Super packed. I had literally a tray of drinks on my tray, and someone bumped me, and I spilled all my tray of drinks.
That's exciting.
On Scottie Pippen.
Who's Scottie Pippen?
Scottie Pippen. Actually, I spilled it on his friend, but it got off on him too, which was so embarrassing. Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, BJ.
Oh no,
oh Lordy, I am that story on you.
Yeah.
Basketball, the Bulls.
Wait. Was he the quarterback?
Oh my gosh, that's football.
I know at least that. I know that quarterback's football. Yeah, with
Scottie Pippen.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. Okay. I'm just going to leave that one there. Okay, I got another one where
Okay,
I knocked
shoot.
over the camera
Well,
on
and
a
we're
McDonald's film commercial shoot.
oh please, and I think we might have to wrap it after that point because we
Yeah,
are
no,
running out of time.
we are, but that was
Oh
another
please,
fun one.
dish it out.
No, I again, I ran into the camera. I forgot it was behind me, and I was knocked off the camera, and the entire set had to wait an hour and a half till they got the lens repaired. And the entire crew was
Sitting
just
there.
sitting there getting paid for nothing because of me.
That's exciting. Look at you wasting money.
But I was, in all fairness, I was like 13. I was a kid. So I'm going to just blame it on that.
You got to be careful, like around kids. They don't know how to move.
I didn't, at least at that time.
Actually, I was gonna say, yeah,
like
some kids.
Or a story where I've like stepped on someone's toe, knocked something over.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like, well, I mean, some kids know how to move. You know, some kids have been in gymnastics and dance since they were since they were like 2. Yeah. So if they don't know how to move by the time they're teenagers, there's no helping them.
I know that wasn't me. I was art. Remember, I was not although I did like dancing, but that was not my thing.
You were not a dancer.
No, I was a singer and art. That was it. And that was my gig. That was my jam.
Well, I would like to say that I have thoroughly enjoyed hearing some of your faux pas and blunders.
It's been so awesome spending this time with you, Ryan. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, that's nice.
listening to our mistakes. What could be better?
Oh, precisely. No, I agree with that. I don't think if we're plugging stuff, I don't think I don't got too much going on right now.
Yeah, what do you got going on, Ryan? What do you want everybody to know about?
Oh
going on with you?
I want everyone to know that I'm having a pretty good day.
Good.
That I'm sick of the snow.
Oh.
That Invisible Cartoons is working on an album for next year.
All right.
But I also would like people to know that I am going to be releasing some new Bird Garden stuff in fairly short order. And I'm also starting this new project with my friend Dylan Schweitzer.
Oh.
And that's called Crab Cat. And we are launching a very rigorous campaign. It is going to be, it is bloodthirst. Oh, and we're dropping an album too. But that's
awesome.
That's not even that important. That's but it's funny because we're like, we finished this album, but we're planning it in junction with this big like song a week sort of project we're doing. Where we're just,
I think Dylan's on there too. He's like, hey, our album.
Yeah. Dylan is, hey, another shout out to Dylan.
Hi, Dylan.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for that. Just keep your ears open for that one and keep following my stuff, and you will inevitably see a lot about it.
All right, awesome.
But Karlana, what do you have going on? What are you doing?
You should ask.
What are you doing?
Well, I'm doing my art. I've got several collections coming up on my gallery site, Karlana.com. That's coming up very shortly. I've got about 15 new pieces of original art that's going to be released very soon. And I'm also doing Artwork Wednesday, where every Wednesday I do a live 20-minute break where we do something fun with art. Sketch with me, or I've been doing a lot of giveaways. So if anyone is interested in following along or knowing what we're going to be doing from week to week and the different events that I've got going, just go to Karlana.com and sign up for my newsletter group. I send out a newsletter maybe once a week, just to kind of keep everybody up to date as to what times and what we'll be doing for Artwork Wednesday and some of our other events. So would be great to have everyone along for the ride. So it's been a lot of fun.
Nice.
And this has been fun, Ryan.
Right, hasn't it? Well,
it has.
And I would like to thank everyone for joining the How Do Artists live stream podcast. And on behalf of myself and Karlana Pedersen. We would like to say so long and thanks for all the fish. Same time, same place. Bring your questions, your curiosity, and we will see you then.
Yes.